Hey, ladies. Happy Freedom Friday and welcome to Black Women Making Money. We're the home of the upwardly mobile Black woman. So, as you are coming in, please like the video. And if you're listening to the replay, of course, please put replay in the chat. In the comments. That way, YouTube can know that you like the information that you are getting on this channel. I apologize for being a little late tonight, but duty called. I had several things going on within our company. We have some loans we're trying to close end of month and beginning of next month, and life is good. So, again, want to thank everyone for being here for the pre-discussion today. Indistractable is the book that you all chose to read, that we chose to discuss. The discussion is happening on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And I started reading the book a couple of days ago. I just finished it up today. It's a very good book. I definitely suggest that you get it if you haven't gotten it yet. You can order it from Amazon or you can listen to it on Audible. One of the big things that the book said that correlates to some of the things we've been talking about on this channel is that um, the ability to focus, the ability to have attention on something and to focus on something and to think strategically and to problem solve, that is where you get paid the big bucks. We've seen right now a lot of conversations happening in the country about, oh, CEOs make 30, 40, 50 times the amount of the low wage worker. And oftentimes, if we are looking from obviously the side of the lower wage worker, we feel like bad. We're like, oh my goodness, why is there such wage disparity? But on this channel, the upwardly mobile Black woman focuses on making $130,000 plus per year. You can't do that without the ability to think and to problem solve. And the way that you really move up the corporate ladder, or the way that you really move up the economic ladder with regards to your business, is to be indistractable, is to have the focus and the wherewithal and the tools that you need in order to think, in order to problem solve, in order to help companies, either your own company that you own or the company that you're working with, make more money, save money, become more efficient, protect itself if you're in cybersecurity or some sort of tech role, et cetera. Or if you're a lawyer, you're helping the companies protect themselves, et cetera, et cetera. This book, Indistractable, I'm so glad that it was recommended to me. It was actually recommended to me on a loan officer podcast that I was watching. And I'm grateful to all of you ladies for wanting to take the dive into this and actually read this, listen to it, and understand some of the things that Nir Ayal, who is the author of the book, is talking about. And I'll admit, I'm super excited for Sunday evening because I am interested in hearing the things that you have read and heard within Audible and this book, and for us to actually talk about the tools that are included in this book so that we can all do better. The final thing is, before we're going to listen to about 10 minutes of Nirayal speak, and I'm going to say hello to all of you as well. The final thing I will say in introduction to this entire discussion is I told you on this channel that being distracted is going to cost you $2 million. And I kind of ran through why it's going to cost you $2 million, right? I said, if you can earn an extra $35,000 a year over the next 20 years and you invest that money in the stock market at 8% appreciation per year, and you buy your own home and pay it off. You don't even have to buy any investment properties or anything like that. The stock market, your stocks will be worth $1.6 million, and your home, if you paid it off, minimum 400,000. So by being distracted, I as a Black woman and you as a Black woman are losing out on $2 million. That's minimum, ladies. That's minimum. If you're married, he's losing out on 2 million. If you've got adult children, they're losing out on 2 million, et cetera, et cetera. We could have households losing out on $10 million because we are distracted. And you know who wants us distracted? And we had this conversation a week or two ago. Everybody wants us distracted. A lot of Black men want us distracted. Not all, not all, not all, but a lot. A lot of Black women want us distracted, crabs in a barrel mentality. The media wants us distracted. Some of the companies we're working for, a lot of the companies we're working for want us distracted. They want us to do our jobs just enough, but they want us distracted. There's a lot of money in Black women, upwardly mobile Black women especially, being distracted. And this book is all about the tools of not being distracted, of being indistractable. And the truth is, only 10% of us are going to make it. When I mean make it, I don't mean like overall, like live, etc. I mean really be successful. Only 10%, because let's be honest, a lot of Black women are stuck in what man they don't have. They're stuck in Real Housewives. They're stuck in, I don't know, what's the gossip of the week? Whatever the gossip of the week is, that's where they're stuck. The truth is, if you want to be top 10%, top 20%, you are going to have to be indistractable. And some of it is even me overdosing on really good podcasts and really good pieces of information and content. As I was reading the book, they talked about the fact that sometimes what you do is you distract yourself even with things that are quote unquote positive. So during the conversation, he's going to talk for about 10 minutes. I'm going to say hello again to all of you ladies. I'm going to play 10 minutes of a presentation that he gave with regards to his book. The problems, the problems he's going to talk about during these 10 minutes. The solutions, ladies, you've got to come to the book club in order to hear the solutions. So again, to join the book club, you got to sign up for our email list, bwmakingmoney.com. I would suggest this is a great time for you to tell a friend or two about Black women making money. Get them to sign up for the email list as well. No charge to attend the book club on Sunday evening. The book club probably will not be recorded, or if it's going to be recorded, it definitely will not be released. So you have to be in the building in order to hear this information and attend. So with that, I want to say hello to Samri. Rana is in the building saying hi. You're saying happy Friday. Patty is here saying, reading a book right now. This video is a distraction. Look, if this video, Black Women Making Money, is a distraction, I do not want to be a distraction to you. But we won't be here too long tonight. I just want to give you all a little taste of what we're going to get on Sunday. Just Being Nosy is saying, finally made alive. T is in the building. Hello, hello. Kat is saying, listening to it on Audible. I hope you all are liking it. Let me know if you all are liking the book. Currently reading Indistractable in bed. I'll read Hooked in a week. Hooked is really good as well. So Hooked is the opposite end of it, where they're teaching entrepreneurs and these big companies how to get us so connected to these apps that we have to use them every day. So this is the opposite end with regards to being indistractable. Selfish Love is in the building. Hello. You're asking here, the upcoming election can be a distraction. Will your channel discuss it next year? Yeah, we're going to talk about the election because I do believe that politics is a part of wealth building. Different kinds of laws can positively or negatively affect our wealth. Now, we won't discuss it like a lot, but yes, we definitely are going to be discussing the election. We are. Looking super forward to Sunday. Well, hello, Jay Antoinette. Yeah, the elites definitely want us distracted. Definitely, definitely. So, Patty is saying escapism. Blessed is in the building. Hello and happy Friday. Demure is here as well. Blessed is saying need to order the book. You should order the book, definitely. And Patty is here. I like the book a lot. And you all really like it so far. I am super glad. Again, if you all want to come to book club, bwmakingmoney.com in order to come to book club. So I'm going to play 10 minutes of this, and I forgot to put my headphones in, so give me a second. I need to put my headphones in so that we don't have any echoing. And again, like the video. Please like the video as you are coming in. And let's hear what the author Nir Ayal has to say. We're again only going to play the first 10 minutes of this.
Wonderful. So welcome, everyone. It's so great to be with you today. So what I wanted to do is to kind of give you an overview of my past decade of research into this topic of distraction and how we can finally control what I think is going to be the skill of the century. And then we're going to leave plenty of time for Q&A. So let me tell you about...
And let me say this. He just said how we can control the skill of the century. I agree with him. Being able to control your own attention. In fact, the subtitle to his book is How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life. He's right. This is the skill of the century. And if you think that this is not the skill of the century, think about this. If we think about young people in impoverished areas, why is it so hard for them to get ahead? It's because they're distracted. They're distracted with safety concerns. They're distracted with food deserts and not being able to eat properly. They're distracted with health concerns, etc., etc. If you think about the people in your office and why they are unable to rise up the corporate ladder, the super majority of the time, not all, but the super majority of the time, it is because they are distracted as well. So he is absolutely right that we need to master the skill of the century. Facebook is trying to take our attention. YouTube is not trying to, they are. Facebook is taking our attention. YouTube is taking our attention. TikTok is taking our attention, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the skill of the century, ladies.
How I got into this field and when I really had to reassess my relationship with distraction. I was with my daughter a few years ago when she was much younger than she is today. And I remember we were sitting together and we had this perfect afternoon plan, just some daddy-daughter quality time. And we had this activity book of all these various things that dads and daughters could do together. Make a paper airplane throwing contest, do a Sudoku puzzle together. And one of the questions in this book was, if you could have any superpower, what superpower would you want? And I remember that question verbatim, but I can't tell you what my daughter said. Because in that moment, for whatever reason, I thought it was a good time to just check my phone real quick. And by the time I put my phone down, I realized that she was gone, that she'd left the room to go play with some toy outside because I was sending her a very clear message that whatever was on my phone was more important than she was. And so if you ask me today what superpower I would most want, I would tell you it is the power to be indistractable. Becoming indistractable is the skill of the century. There is no facet of your life, your mental health, your physical health, your career, your relationships, all of these facets of your life require you to be able to control your attention, because this is truly how we choose our life.
So, how many of you have heard the saying that attention is the new currency? If you're on social media, especially if you are watching a lot of social media influencers that talk about the business side of their social media influence, they talk about the fact that attention is the new currency. Grant Cardone talks about the attention is the new currency. Um, what do you call it? Alex Hermosi, if you're familiar with those gentlemen, talk about the fact that attention is the new currency. Let me know. You all are saying I heard it many times. This is very true. Attention is the new gold, the new currency, the new standard. Jay Antoinette is saying I haven't heard of that phrase, but it does make a lot of sense. Yeah. And social media influencers, not only the platforms, but the influencers themselves, they understand this from a business mindset and a business concept. And the way that you get back control of your life is to control your attention, to control your eyeballs, what you're watching, to control your ears, what you're listening to. Netflix is trying to control you. Every place out there is trying to control you. And you're saying it's very true. Yeah. So the superpower he's saying, and at first I was like, this sounds kind of corny. And I still don't know exactly how I feel about it, but the ability to control your urge to go and scroll email, or to go and scroll Facebook, or to do other mindless things, and to not be in the moment with whatever you're doing, or to not be able to, let's say that you want to have a certification and you've got 2 months until the end of the year. You can knock out the certification by the end of the year. Your ability to have as a superpower the ability to be indistractable can make you millions of dollars. If you have a part-time business, if you have a full-time business. I know Shar is in here, for example. Shar said she just clocked out in time. Shar is working on getting her life insurance certification. But being distracted could cost her millions of dollars. And people who sell life insurance can make quite a bit of money, right? So whether you're in sales, whether you are like Rana and you're in nuclear medicine, whatever it is that your career path is, it is. He calls it a superpower. I'm not quite sold on superpower, but I think it's truly important. It could be the difference between millions of dollars a year for you and your family, or nothing. It could also mean, because he has several times mentioned in the book and on all of his lectures, it's not just money, it's not just career, it's the quality of life that you have with your children. Are you distracted all the time when you're with your kids, or do they truly get the focus that they need from you for certain periods of time? It is your ability to have a good quality relationship with your mate. And he talks about, and I might play this on Sunday, he talks about the argument that he had with his wife because he was distracted from her and from their relationship, and how important it was for him to get back on track with regards to not being distracted in his relationship with his wife. Friendships can suffer from being distracted, etc., etc. Samuel's saying that's why knowing your triggers is vital in keeping yourself from being drained by different entities, including fashion, podcasts, public stock holding companies, etc. Yeah, you're right. And he talks about the fact that there are internal triggers and external triggers, and internal triggers are 90% of the distractions that we have. People think that it is the cell phone itself or the TV or the technology itself. He's saying that's not true. 90% of the distraction that we have in our lives comes from um, internal internal triggers. So, again, ladies, like the video. And if you want to join book club Sunday night, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, come to my email list, bwmakingmoney.com, sign up for my email list, and you will get the Zoom link. So,
Unfortunately, I think there's a very simple narrative out there that the reason we're all distracted is because of our technology, right? You all are in this industry and you hear people probably every day blaming our devices, blaming the internet, blaming YouTube, blaming whatever it is out there for our distraction. And to be honest, that was my knee jerk reaction as well. But what I discovered in my past 10 years of research is that this problem of distraction is actually much deeper than just whatever technologies we happen to be using. And the narrative of what's really going on is actually way more empowering than this chicken little critique that we hear about technology today. The sky is falling and our brains are melting. That is just not true. Let me go back to the very beginning. It turns out that this problem of distraction is at least 2,500 years old. How do I know that? Because we know that the Greek philosopher Plato talked about this very same problem. He called it in the Greek akrasia, the tendency to do things against our better interests. And so we know if that people have been struggling with distraction for at least the past 2,500 years before the internet. It can't be that our technology is the ultimate source of our distraction problems.
So one of the things in the book that he talks about is that every time there's a new technology, quote unquote technology, that the world is always concerned that, people's attention is going to be taken away. So at one point it was books. The thought that books were becoming prevalent, people thought, oh my goodness, that's going to be a distraction. Then it was TV. Now it's the internet, etc. Instead, the best of the best people just learn how to refocus, recalibrate, and take back control of their focus. Let's keep listening.
So let me offer a new, fresh perspective on how we can all manage distraction and ultimately become indistractable. Starting with truly understanding, what does this word distraction even mean? If you ask most people, what is the opposite of distraction? They will tell you the opposite of distraction is focus, right? I don't want to be distracted. I want to be focused. Those are opposites, right? Wrong. It turns out if you look at the etymology of that word, distraction, the opposite of distraction is not focus. The opposite of distraction is traction. Of course it is. Traction and distraction. Both words come from the same Latin root, trahare, which means to pull. And you'll notice that both words, traction and distraction, end in the same letters. They end in the word action, which spells action, reminding us that distraction is not something that happens to us, but rather it is an action that we ourselves take. So traction, by definition, is any action that pulls you towards what you said you were going to do, things that you do with intent, things that move you closer to your values and help you become the kind of person you want to become. Those are
Okay, ladies. So, one of the things on Sunday that we're going to review and talk about is, what do you want? What are the things that you say that you want? What are the things that you really want? One of the two major um, thoughts that he has in this book is, number one, distraction. The opposite of distraction is not focus. The opposite of distraction is traction. And the fact that traction is all about moving towards something that you want, something that you want to become, something that you want to do, something that you want to be. Distraction, when I first read that, he said that the opposite of distraction is not focus, it's traction, which means moving toward what you want. It totally shift things for me. The second thing that he says that I felt was super important that I took from this book is that dealing with distraction is about dealing with pain management. He's going to talk about that a little bit more in in his talk here. I think actually I end with him talking about that. But dealing with distraction, the distractions in our lives is all about dealing with pain management. And when you sit back and you actually think about that, you think about the fact that the pain that he's talking about, 90% of it is the pain of discomfort, the pain of doing uncomfortable things, whether it's working out so that you can lose 50 pounds, whether it's not eating the Cheetos and the cheesecake, whether it is taking extra time to tutor your children, or driving an hour and a half to another school district so that your children can get the best education, whether it is taking 2 hours a day, 3 days a week to study for that certification. It is uncomfortable to do those things. If not immediately, then at some point in the process, it's uncomfortable to do those things. Yet, if you deal with the discomfort, you will come out on top on the other side. So, if people don't mind right now in the chat, tell me something that you want within your life. What is traction for you? Tell me something that you want in your life. What is traction for you? And we're going to have more of this conversation on Sunday. I want to hear what is it for you? Because one of the things that he says is that if you do not know what you want, you are not distracted. Distracted does not come from not knowing what you want. Distracted comes from knowing what you want and not doing it. Distraction comes from knowing what you want and not doing it, not doing the things to get there. So, one of the things that I want is to close 10 loans a month. I want to close 10 loans a month. And there have been things that I've been doing that have distracted me, including watching various people on YouTube during the daytime, that has distracted me from getting my 10 loans a month. So, ladies, what are some of the things that you want, if you want to share them in the comments here? What's the traction that you're missing out on? I'd love to hear your responses. Another traction that I've been missing out on, distraction that I have, is for the last 2.5 weeks, I have not been getting up to get my workout in. And I'm starting to feel it. I lost 40 pounds this year, which is really great. I should be at 60, but you know what? That's okay. But the distraction that I have is in the morning, I am playing around on my phone, doing other little things instead of actually getting my butt up, putting my clothes on, and going to the gym. Put a one in the chat if you all can hear me. I don't know if maybe something's wrong with my microphone. Oh, no, no. Okay, so I'm starting to see you all are commenting here about traction. You want to work remotely from home or library, cafe, or vacation spots. Okay, so what's distracting you from that? You're saying watching podcasts is distracting. Okay, y'all saying one here. Good. Y'all were kind of quiet. Nobody wants to tell me their traction except for Samry. And it's okay if you don't know. I would um, urge you to really think about that, because you cannot be distracted if you don't know what you want. You can't be distracted if you don't know what you want. And I think that's a very powerful thing, like that crystal clear vision of what you're aiming for. You're saying brand building and blogging. Okay. So I would say if you can make that a bit more clearer with regards to, what do you mean by blogging? Like, is there a certain number of people you want reading your blog? Are there certain influencers that you want to recognize your blog? Like, what is it? Like, making it a lot more tangible. And again, these are the things that we will discuss on Sunday. But if you are not crystal clear and able to articulate, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like for me, I'm looking to close $4 million of business every month. So that's crystal clear. Somebody can come behind me and check, Cherie, did you close $4 million of business? No. Okay, were you distracted this month, right? If somebody, Serenity, said to you, did you do brand building and blogging? You could say yes, but that's not necessarily tangible enough for us to know if you were successful. J. Antoinette said, I have multiple things I want, but my traction, I want to increase my income to 250. Okay. So then if that's your traction, then part of it is figuring out how you're going to do that. And anything that doesn't help you get to 250 a month is a distraction. And one thing that he does say in the book is that doesn't mean you don't have fun. You do schedule time for relaxing, drinking a glass of wine, enjoying time with the kids or with the husband or boyfriend or, mindlessly watching Netflix, but that time needs to be scheduled. Christina's in the building. Traction is being able to travel for Christina. My distraction, sending money and food to others around me. Well, girl, you've got to get out of that distraction. Samry's distraction, social media, and saying yes to multiple projects. Yeah. So part of it is really looking with regards to like what are you aiming for, and that way you'll know like one or two of the projects that you're doing lead you to traction, and everything else takes you away from it. Kat is saying here, making $10,000 in my business by the end of the year. So everything else is a distraction except for that. I love that, Kat. All right. We've got another 4 minutes of this. Let's keep listening.
They're acts of traction. Conversely, anything that pulls you away from what you said you were going to do, away from your values, away from becoming the kind of person you want to become, those are acts of distraction. So let me make this clear. Just because something is a fun task, something that you plan to do, something that maybe is enjoyable, doesn't mean that it's a distraction. In fact, I think we need to stop moralizing and medicalizing behaviors like watching YouTube videos or going on social media or enjoying a video game. There's nothing wrong with those behaviors as long as you're doing them on your schedule and with intent. That is the difference between traction and distraction, is this one word, intent. As Dorothy Parker said, the time you plan to waste is not wasted time. So if you've made time on your schedule to go enjoy these things, great, do them, right? We need to stop moralizing and medicalizing and somehow saying, oh, playing video games, that's morally reprehensible, but watching football on TV, that's okay. Why? Anything that you plan to do with your time and attention in advance is traction. Enjoy. Conversely, just because something is a work-related task doesn't mean it's not a distraction. Let me see if this sounds familiar to you. For years, when I was distracted versus today when I'm indistractable, when I was distractible, I would get into work and I'd say, okay, I've got this big long to-do list that I have to finish. Here I go. I've got that big important task. By the way, we're going to talk about later why to-do lists are one of the worst things you can do for your personal productivity. Remind me to get to that in the Q&A.
And we're going to talk about that on Sunday, ladies. Why he says to-do lists are the worst things you can do, and instead how to navigate. Now, I have a huge to-do list. I will admit, I have a huge to-do list every day within two different systems that I have. And yet, I'm going to try to incorporate some of the things that he is talking about within this book in order to achieve my traction, achieve my goals faster. Achieve, sorry. Rana saying, living my dream life. I'd love for you, Rana, to tell us more. And you'll necessarily have to tell us this on YouTube, but maybe in on Sunday if you're able to attend. Make it a little bit more tangible for us. What does your dream life look like? Samry is saying, adding more to my traction, my ideal remote work would be establishing an LLC for spoken African language learning. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Coconut Water's in the building. I was quiet because I was at the gym. You go, girl. You're better than me. This weekend, that is like on my list is to get back in the gym. J. Antoinette, my distraction, not being brave enough to take those initial steps and honing in on what I want. Well, that first of all is very honest of you. I appreciate that. With regards to, mentioning the braveness that it takes. And once you do decide what you want, then actually moving towards that. Right now, traction for you is deciding what you want. And it could be, so I'll be honest with you. When I was trying to figure out what my next steps were in my life, y'all know I'm a mortgage loan officer now, but I was not sure what I wanted to do. And I ended up paying $750 for a transition career coach in order to work with me to figure out what my next steps were. So sometimes the braveness comes from doing the next step. Like you said, taking those initial steps, doing the next step, whatever the next step is to say, I'm not happy with my life right now. I need another path. Let me figure out what that is. Even if I have to take a year. For me, it took me a year to find my job and the path that I'm on now. So, Jantoinette's saying, I love making lists. So, I have miniature lists that I have, and then I have a big list, and then I have a long term list within my job. And one of the big things, I don't know how you ladies feel, but having a laundry list of 20 things to do today and only getting through three, and some of the like heart palpitations you end up feeling because you did not get through your entire list. I hate that. I hate that. So, Sammy saying a love note to y'all. You are worth the courage it takes to be free. Thank you so much, Sammy. Absolutely, I agree with you. And yeah, we talking about your to-do list, Serenity. Yes, your to-do list. So let's keep watching him as he talks about his book.
But I would sit down on my desk and I'd say, okay, I've got this big important project. I've been procrastinating on it. I'm not going to delay any longer. Here I go. I'm going to get started right now. But first, let me check some email, right? Let me just scroll that Slack channel real quick. Let me just do the.
So let's take this for some of you. Let's take this for some of you. Some of you, your distraction may be promotable task versus non promotable task. And we've had the conversation on this channel before. You have about 200 hours a year from your working career to do promotable tasks, about 10% of your time. So, are you going to be distracted at work, gossiping, talking to coworkers, etc.? Or do you take the 10% of that time that you have, the 200 hours, and focus on promotable tasks? And then once you get those promotable tasks, once you get those quote unquote miscellaneous tasks as assigned, do you say, oh, I'm going to start on this project, but before I do that, let me check email. Let me check Slack. Let me check Microsoft Teams. Let me check Facebook. Let me check Twitter. This is what he's referring to when it comes to you and your careers. Or do you sit down and say, before I turn anything on, email, et cetera, I'm going to work on this promotable task for an hour and actually show movement to my boss's boss? So, Jay Antoinette, I've been getting better with having the courage to do the things I want lately. Good for you. I love that, Jay. I love that. Rana has a to-do list as well. Coconut Water saying it's scary since trying opens you up for failure, but so does not trying. Not trying is worse. Not trying is a life of regret. And you're saying, "Oh shoot, I did that." You have those to-do lists, huh? You have those to-do lists. Well, let's keep watching. Everybody like the video? Like the video if you haven't done it yet.
Those easy tasks on my to-do list for a quick minute just to get started, just to get some momentum going, right? And I didn't realize that that is the most dangerous form of distraction. As much as we talk about external distractions like, the social media or whatever else we might see, what we don't realize is that the most harmful distractions are the ones that we don't even realize are distracting us. So if you're checking email when you plan to work on a big important project, that work email is still a distraction because you don't even realize that you're off track. So just because something is a work-related distraction doesn't mean it's not just as dangerous of a distraction as, the typical usual suspects of video games and social media.
And for me, ladies, at work, this is my number one distraction is email. Is email. And next week, I finally gotten some of the other distractions in my company and my work related side of my business taken care of so that I can truly move towards traction and scheduling, following the schedule of my day. But let's keep listening.
If it's not what you plan to do with your time, it is a distraction. So now we have traction, we have distraction. Now let's talk about what triggers us to take these actions. What most people think about are the external triggers, the pings, the dings, the rings, all these things in our outside environment that can lead us towards distraction. But would you believe studies find that these external triggers, these pings, dings, and rings, these things outside of us, studies find only account for 10% of our distractions, 10%. So what accounts for the other 90%? It turns out that 90% of the time that we get distracted, it's not because of what's happening outside of us, but rather we know that 90% of our distractions begin from within. We call these internal triggers. What are internal triggers? Internal triggers are uncomfortable emotional states that we seek to escape from. And it is the most important and first critical step we must take in order to become indistractable. Internal triggers like boredom, loneliness, fatigue, stress, anxiety, these uncomfortable sensations that we seek to escape from. What we have to realize is that if we don't understand the source of that discomfort, we will always try and escape it. That fundamentally, distraction is always an unhealthy response to an emotional trigger, to something that we don't like to feel. And so we escape that discomfort, whether it's stress, anxiety, loneliness, fatigue, uncertainty, whatever it might be, with something that takes us off track. So what do we do about that problem? If we want to master these internal triggers so they don't become our master, we only have two potential options. We can either fix the source of the problem, figure out what is causing us that emotional discomfort and do something about it, or we have to learn healthier strategies to cope with that discomfort. Starting with this understanding that blew me away when I started this line of research, that fundamentally time management is pain management. Let me say that again. Time management is pain management. Procrastination and distraction is nothing more than an emotional control issue. And most of us, maybe all of us, we have not been taught how to deal with that emotional discomfort in a healthy way that leads us towards traction versus an unhealthy way that leads us towards distraction. Time management is pain management.
Okay, ladies, put a two in the chat if you're excited for book club. Put a two in the chat if you're excited for book club. One of the things that I always think, the men tell us as women is we got to control our emotions. We got to control our emotions. We got to think logically. Got to control our emotions, ladies. And what Nir Ayal is saying to us, the author of Indistractable, is that the greatest superpower we can have is the ability to control our emotions, the ability to be able to feel anxiety, feel loneliness, feel boredom, which I have felt boredom, and to be able to work through that emotion, whether you're bored on the treadmill or you're bored during that certification that's going to get you the $300,000 job. You might be bored during during parts of that certification. You might be anxious during parts of that certification. You might be nervous during parts of that certification and the math that's involved with it. Or some of you are nervous about the public speaking that's involved with your level up. But being able to feel those emotions and to not let those emotions cause you to want to break away and become distracted, do distracting things, that's what's going to make us strong and stronger women. So I'm so glad seeing all the twos here for all of you who are going to be excited for Sunday evening. I see my twos here. Thank you, ladies. So you all know bwmakingmoney.com. Tell a friend or two. This is one of the discussions that we want as many Black women as possible to be a part of. It's going to happen 5 p.m. on Sunday. And the biggest thing that I want you to think about this weekend, if you don't know what you're moving towards, if you don't know what your traction is, or if it is something that is not very called a SMART goal. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. I would encourage you to come up with a SMART goal, a SMART traction that you are aiming for, so that you know what you are distracted from. Even if your SMART traction is, I don't know exactly what I want to do and what my next steps are, but by December 31st, I will have an answer, then that is your SMART goal. That is your SMART traction. And then anything that is distracting you from figuring out what it is you want to do by December 31st, 2023. So I'm super excited to see you ladies in Zoom on Sunday. Definitely get the book. If you don't have the money to get the book or you're just too busy, you can hear it on Audible. If that doesn't work for you, Nir Ayal has done a lot of interviews on YouTube. He has done a lot of presentations on YouTube. I'm sure he's done a lot of podcasts, etc. You can just go and listen to overall to the things that he said with regards to his book. Become prepared for audience participation. Because even though there is no cost to come into Zoom, the cost is audience participation. And if the chat is quiet, if my ladies are quiet, then I will leave because, I've read the book. But yeah, I want you to talk to me on Sunday, and I want you to start thinking about what your traction is, what is distracting you. We're going to go over the tools and tips and techniques that he talks about in order to become indistractable. And more of us need to make indistractable our superpower, as he said in the very beginning of the presentation that he gave. So with that, ladies, I hope you have a blessed weekend. I might be here tomorrow for Small Business Saturday. I might not. We'll see. You all can put a 3 in the chat if you want a little Small Business Saturday. I might come and do something very kind of casual for Small Business Saturday. I got a ton of stuff to do tomorrow, but we'll see. If you all want Small Business Saturday, you can put a 3 in the chat. Or if you're listening to the replay, you can put 3 in the comment section, and we'll see if I'm able to come and do a little Small Business Saturday. So with that, ladies, happy Friday, and I will speak with you all soon. Take care. Talk to you on Sunday. Bye-bye.